Today we are working on set 29A. And this is just a review. Oh, you made it back. We are factoring, solving by factoring. So, if I had 2x squared minus 6x is equal to 0, how do you factor that? Take out a 2 and an x. So I'm going to yank out a 2 and an x, and I get x minus 3. Now, every x represents a solution. So once you have the x's factored, broken down into x to the first, we set every x piece of the expression equal to 0. So 2x equals 0. We just divide by 2, and we get x equals 0. And then here we add 3, and we get x equals 3. What do these numbers mean? That is where the parabola crosses the x-axis. And this is an x squared equation, so it's a parabola. But you will run into polynomials that are bigger than x squared. So whatever this graph looks like, it hits the x-axis at 0 and at 3. Okay, coming back. So what if we had I'm going to factor this quadratic into two factors. You remember how to do this? This is the multiply number, and this is the add number. Two numbers that multiply to be positive 5 and add to be negative 6. X minus 5 and x minus 1. Okay. Set each of those equal to 0. And we get x is equal to 5 and 1. Okay. Any questions there? All right. X squared minus 10x minus 24. This is my multiply number, and this is my add number. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 and add to be negative 10. What if I tried this? Does that work? Why not? They don't multiply to be negative 24. So sometimes there are answers that appear to be correct, but in this case, those don't work. All right. So what are the two numbers? Negative 12 and positive 2. So x is equal to 12 and negative 2. Okay. What if I had 4x squared minus 4x plus 1? If you have a leading coefficient, which means a number in front of the x squared, then the normal multiply and add rules don't work the way that you want them to. So there are several ways to do this. I apologize if you had Christy. Christy's still factoring these the way that I did in high school, and I hate it. So I'm going to maybe teach some of you a new way, but let's put this out into a multiplication box. So if I had x minus 3 and 2x plus 6, and I wanted to multiply those together, so if I had these two, I can use this multiplication box to figure out what the simplified polynomial is. And you just do 2x times x would be 2x squared, and 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x, x times 6 is 6x, and 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And then you just check to see if anything goes together. Oh, I didn't do that on purpose. Those go together, and they cancel. So 2x squared minus 18. So if we can use this box to perform multiplication, we should be able to use the box in reverse to perform factoring. So I draw the box, and I stick this in, and I stick this in. So 4x squared and 1. And this will actually work on all the other problems that we've already done, but you don't need it. If you have a leading coefficient, it's really, really hard to do these in your head. So I now multiply those two together, and I get 4x squared. And now I factor 4x squared to create my multiply number of negative 4. Two numbers that multiply to be 4x squared and add to be negative 4x. So my options are 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. And because it's x squared, they have to have an x in there as well. Can I create a negative 2 or a negative 4 using those? Negative 2x and negative 2x. So negative 2x and negative 2x. Now here's the tricky part. What do these share? A 2 and an x, right? So I take a 2 and an x out of the top row, and I'm left with 2x minus 1, and then I take a 2x out of this row, and I get 2x minus 1. So 2x minus 1 equals 0, and then the other one is also 2x minus 1 equals 0. So we add 1, 2x equals negative 1, no, positive 1, divide by 2, x is 1/2. Now, if you have another way to do it, great. But the other way involves some guessing, and I don't like guessing. I like solving. Let's do another one that's a little bit harder. How about 4x squared minus 25 equals plus 25, sorry, equals 20x. What do we need to do here? We have to get it equal to 0, and I prefer my x squared term to be positive. So I'm going to move this over. 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. And it's always a good idea to check to see if these have any common factors. Is there anything that goes into 4 and 20 and 25? No. So I draw my box. I stick in the 4x squared and the 25, and then I multiply those together, and I get 100x squared. And then I look for factors of 100 that add to be 25. So 1 and 100, or no, add to be 20. No. 2 and 50, no. 3 doesn't work. 4 and 25, no. 5 and 20, 5 and 20 doesn't work. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10. That's it. And it needs to be negative 20x. So negative 10x and negative 10x. What does the top row share? A 2 and an x. So if I pull a 2 and an x out, I get 2x minus 5. And if I pull a 2x out of this, I get 2x minus 5. Now, these have matched the last two times. That's not always going to happen. So my factor is 2x minus 5 equals 0. So the root is found by adding 5 and dividing by 2. Okay. What does a parabola look like that has the same answer twice? You guys know? How do you have two of the same roots graphically? So we did one earlier that had two roots. It just touches it, right? It bounces right off. So in this case, at 2.5, it just bounces off the x-axis. Okay. What if it misses the x-axis? What's going to happen? It won't be factorable, and it turns out there is no number that makes that equation equal 0, and you have imaginary numbers. Okay, and then you're going to see stuff like this. Oh, 4x minus 3 squared equals, let's do this backwards in my head. No, let's not do that. Okay. You could multiply this out, 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3, which is going to give you 16x squared minus 24x plus 9, and then times it by 2, and set it equal to 98, and then move the 98 over, and then factor, and that will work, but you made the problem much more difficult. So instead, let's just focus in on that x, and let's peel this equation apart, because equations are like ogres. This joke isn't going to last much longer because you guys are getting too young. They have layers. So if you want to get to this x, we have to peel the layers back one at a time, starting on the outside. So the first layer, that most inner layer on x, is this 4, and then the minus 3, and then the squared, and then the multiplied by 2. So we just undo these layers one at a time, divide by 2, and we get 49. Take the square root, and we get 7. Add 3, and I get 10. Well, I didn't do it very good in my head, whatever. And then divide by 4, and we get 5 halves. Okay, that's it for today. So 29A, you're doing problems 1 through 33 odd. And then when you're done, just put it over there in the black box, and then I'll grade it, and then Mom and Dad will be so proud of you. Okay, get to work.